Hi everybody, I'm Jack and this is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. It's a beautiful spring day out here. I'm just laughing at myself here. Had a little camera. I thought I had a problem with the battery on this camera, and I got another little camera. It's not my main camera that I use, and I shot the video. And I got back in and was checking it out, and for some reason, I don't know if I ran out of space or whatever, but it cut it off. And I got annoyed. I was starting to get annoyed, and then I just laughed. I'm like, why are you getting annoyed? What are you, you're not under any time frames. Just go do it again. We'll see if the senile old man can remember half of what he said the first time. Anyhow, just like the video says, it's I see this all the time, and I see people having struggling, especially in the beginning when they come to this high carb vegan lifestyle, whether it be fully raw to 4, just whatever version of high carb raw vegan they're trying to do. I think they put a little bit too much pressure on themselves. Now, I can understand it. They're excited, they're anxious, they want to do, they hear all these stories, they hear about people having great health and feeling a lot better, looking a lot better, and they want to go all the way really quick, and they want to do it the best that they can, and they try to go, from 0 to 100, overnight. And they have these little, I've seen comments, I see them every day. It's not even yesterday or any particular comment. I see them every day. I see people beating themselves up because, they're trying to eat a certain way, and they eat something and they get all over themselves, or they're upset and they're like, oh gosh, I can't believe I ate that. I fell off and I ate that. And I'm looking, thinking, well, that's really not that bad. You're kind of just starting out, or you haven't been doing this a whole long time. You got to kind of give yourself a break. It's like the old saying, you got to walk before you can run. It would be like, and some of these people, have probably been doing this lifestyle or whatever version they're doing for about 5 minutes. It's like you're in elementary school and you try to go do algebra. If you're in elementary school, unless you're a prodigy and you go try to do algebra, you're not going to be able to do it. You're going to fail. It goes back. I've talked about the transition period before. I think in the beginning, you start and you move forward. Now, some people think of it as 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and that's okay too. That's nothing wrong with that. But I just like to be always moving forward a little bit, and I'd like to see people, even if they're beginning, just improving a little bit every day, improving a little bit every day, improving a little bit every day. Like this plank challenge I'm doing. I'm doing this 30-day plank challenge with some people on Instagram, where you hold the plank position, every day, and it started out, I think it was 20 seconds on the first day, and you progress little by little every day. Up now I'm up around 2 minutes planking now, theoretically, and we'll see if I can do this. By the end of the 30 days, you're supposed to be able to do the plank for about 5 minutes. Well, you can use that same approach with the food. Don't expect yourself to go from a sad lifestyle, a sad diet, a sad way of eating, to a fully raw vegan, or even like a very clean raw to 4 vegan. The best all I think you can really hope for in the very beginning is just start eating more fresh foods every day, whole foods every day, fruits and vegetables, and taking some of the stuff out of your diet. I mean, don't beat yourself up over the details. You know what I say about the details. But even if, there's nothing wrong with that, to eventually see how far you can go, or go as clean as you want, or go as far as you want with your lifestyle. But don't be focused on that in the beginning, because all it's going to do is frustrate you. It's going to disappoint you. When you set your expectations too high, you're going to end up getting disappointed. Now, the only exclusion to this, but then it's still about it's still about long term. The only thing I can see is like when people have have health issues, like the intestinal disease stuff, like the colitis, the Crohn's, anything that just gives you a lot of pain in your gut and you can't digest and you can't move that stuff through and you're in pain all the time. Okay, I can understand. You got to try to get, there as quick as you can, or you feel like you do, because if you've ever, I don't even know how some of these people do it. I feel for them, because I've just had, stomach bouts here and there in my life, and that's miserable. So yeah, you might be have a little bit more reason to be a little bit more anxious and move a little faster. But for the normal person that's just, even if you're not super healthy, you might have high blood pressure, you might have some of these other cholesterol's high. You're going to have to give yourself a little time to grow into this lifestyle. You can't give up everything overnight. And I think one of the biggest mistakes people make, especially when it pertains to the trying to be fully raw or as high raw as possible, is beating yourself up in the beginning over eating cooked food. Listen, I don't want to get into the debate over the starches. The starches are one of those subjects where people are like very passionate about it. Starch is a starch to me. You eat them, you don't eat them. But in the beginning, I really, especially, even if you don't think starches are good for you, they don't serve you, or you do, or whatever, don't focus so much about being so raw in the beginning. If you've got to have some potatoes to get you through, have the potatoes. The same with the fat. Now, I'm not saying don't get into, cook food over that really high-fat gourmet lifestyle, but don't beat yourself up over a little bit more fat in the beginning. Like, you'll get in a lot of these groups, pages on YouTube, on Facebook, and you'll hear these comments on YouTube where everybody's always low fat, low fat, low fat, low fat. And I try to stay fairly low fat myself. I eat nuts and seeds moderately, not regularly. I'm kind of inconsistent with that, but I don't ever really overeat on them. And the same thing with avocados, the same thing with any of the fats. In the beginning, don't beat yourself up so much because you're eating an avocado. I'd rather see you eat an avocado today than just try to hold on and be as raw and low fat as I can as possible in the beginning, and then eventually you freak out, your head explodes, and you're going through the drive-through, and you've eaten some garbage, and you're like you're like don't even know what happened. Take the time. Go through those early steps. I did this in another video on transition. Enjoy where you're at the time. Eat your food with joy. And don't. Most things in life, and I probably go overboard on this, but most of this is really psychology. It's not none of it's physical, because none of us have ever. Well, most people, I know, I've had a few people comment that have felt that, but most people, when we say I'm hungry, we haven't felt real hungry. You're not going to starve on this lifestyle no matter what you cut out or what you eat. Those cravings are up here. But in the beginning, I think you're just trying to shut down the worst cravings. And if you try to shut down all the cravings, I think it's just going to be overload for you. And then people don't like to fail. So that's why I like to see little by little. If you can succeed a little bit here, you kind of boost your confidence, and then you up your game a little bit and you eat a little bit better, and you succeed there, and you get confident, and that's a good thing. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel good about yourself. But conversely, don't beat yourself up, when you eat a potato. Don't beat yourself up when you've had 5% more fat today than you think you should. Well, really, don't beat yourself up at all, because that's not getting you anywhere. But stick to the basics. Keep it simple. On some of these same groups that I'm talking about, I will sometimes, there's groups I go to that I like some of the people there that I've come to know. I don't really go to the groups anymore, other than for the reason of giving some of these people that I like and that I've come to know a little bit of encouragement. But when I'm there, I read comments, I read questions to just, chit-chat in the room between other people. And there's people that are beginners that are asking such technical questions. Now, I'm not Mr. Science. I don't sit here and spit the science of all this stuff out like a lot of the raw food educators or the high carb vegan educators, because I just don't have that retention. I drank away all those brain cells over 30 years. But I got a pretty good grasp on things, and I like to do things the simple way, and I can spot it right away. I'm like, that person doesn't need to be focusing on that, about that's just something that's more of an advanced level. They just need to get to a point where they're eating a clean diet. You just try to take, so many people try to bite off too much at one time. It goes straight, trying to go straight from the SAD through a 40-day juice fast or something, or from SAD straight to fully raw. You know, fully raw 95-5 or even 80-10-10, which is tough, you know, to go straight to. I like those numbers, by the way, pretty much. I don't stick to them 100% strictly, but yeah, you know, that's the only way I can keep going back to it. You just got to give yourself a break in the beginning and not get into the deep end. You know, try to get the basics down. You're going to learn as you go, but don't worry about, okay, am I getting enough of a ratio of this to a ratio of that, and oh, it's just, you know, I think I ate one too many of this, and you're going to learn these things, and your body's going to adapt to these, because you got to remember that too. Your body is making changes. You know, depending on how you've eaten in the past, your body is probably feeling shock, you know, when you first come to this lifestyle, because it's detox. It's getting a lot of that gunk out of your system. Sometimes, you know, if you've been eating, now for a lot of people, you know, you look at fruits and vegetables, it's a super healthy thing, but the body's not used to that if you're coming from where a lot of us came from, you know, from eating fried chicken and drinking beer. You know, if I went from eating fried chicken, I try to go, you know, rewind back, and I'm thinking, like, if I'd have gone from, you know, if I'd have found this stuff and tried to go gung-ho from the days where I was eating a big fat cheeseburger and sitting in the bar and washing down 6 beers with it, or sitting around eating wings, if I'd have tried to go to, you know, and I've always eaten fruit, I've always eaten vegetables, but if I'd have gone to nothing but that, I imagine my body would have freaked out, and I'd have been, you know, been like I was getting off the heroin cold turkey, and I would have just been cold sweats and shaking and all kinds of bad. So takeaway from this is just a real simple video today. It's just to kind of let you think, this is not a specific eat this, don't eat this, this is what you eat in the first month, this is what you eat. It's about the process, and it's about allowing yourself to progress at your speed. Everybody's going to be different, but if you push too hard, you're just kind of sabotaging yourself. And I'm sure there's exceptions out there. There's some people that jump right into this, you know, they just bam, they get into it, they go, and they're off. But that's not going to work for the majority of people. And what this is about is not being the fastest. It's not about coming out of the gates and just boom, you know, thundering out there. It's a long-term thing. It's a marathon. It's something that we hopefully want to do for the rest of our life. You know, we want to learn more. We want to live healthy for the rest of our lives. We want to feel good for the rest of our lives. And, you know, if you put it in perspective, we probably, you know, I was 47, almost about to be 48 when I started this lifestyle, or maybe no, I was maybe 48 when I started this lifestyle. So I lived in an unhealthy way for a lot of years. So if we're talking about 48 years, why do I think I have to get there to a certain level in 1 month? 48 years versus 1 month. You know, if it takes me 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, that's still a pretty good thing. And, you know, as you're eating clean along the way and you're learning these things, you're making, don't compare yourself to other people. It's all, you know, with all this interaction on social media and whatever, I think we see the people that, and sometimes you're comparing yourself, even, don't compare yourself to anybody, but sometimes I think people are comparing themselves to people that have been doing this lifestyle, have been on this journey a much longer time. And if truth be told, and most of them do admit it freely, that people had struggles. Everybody struggled with this. Everybody's had to work through their process, but it's all about getting there. So take the pressure off yourself. Eat a lot of foods that you like. Eat a lot of the fresh fruits and vegetables that you like. Eat what you have to in the beginning to get you through without reverting back to the bad stuff, to reverting back to the animal products, the meat, the dairy, the cheese, all that. If you've got to eat an avocado to keep you from going through the drive-thru, or eating a burger or whatever, or eating chips even there's some stuff you can stay vegan out there that's pretty much garbage too. Just try to focus on clean, healthy eating in the beginning, and don't have unrealistic expectations of yourself. It's going to take the pressure off of you. It's going to make it easier for you to follow this lifestyle, and it's going to make it more likely that you succeed in the long run. Anyhow, I hope you guys like this video today. If you like it, give me a thumbs up. Hope you'll subscribe to the channel, and hope you're having a wonderful week. Love you guys. Peace.